Welcome, everyone, to Self Care You podcast. I'm your host, Sharon, the number one self caregiver in the world. This podcast is the intersection of self care, advocacy, and compassion for self caregivers. Welcome. And so, for this episode, what we will talk about is creating challenges in your life so that you can have success, and especially it's for everyone. However, especially for business owners, for business owners and entrepreneurs and those who are in the mental health and wellness space. Because one thing I have learned, am learning, is that the more, we hear people talk about embracing challenges, embracing the storm. And one thing I would say, I'm not going to say as you go through it, but once you come through it, then, and you can really reflect the first piece of, self-care pillars is the self-awareness. So when you reflect, to say, hey, what did I learn? What transformation happened? What can I take with me? What do you need to leave? Then that will definitely help you. And one thing I can definitely say, I'm definitely going through a transition with my business, with myself, and with everything else in between, and had definitely, how I want to say, is come through a storm. And we all have come through a storm at some point in our lives. And if not, not yet. How much I hate to say that. Oh my gosh, mine just happened later in life. Oh, I talk about it at another time, just meaning the benefits of certain things happening early. And especially if you can have people involved to help you through that, and especially in seeing how challenges come. So this is why this particular episode is here, is creating challenges, because it's not even just society. Some Each personality is different. You have individuals who are, we say are radical. Those are people who just speak up for themselves. Is not going to let the system or anybody else tell them what to do. I can definitely identify a few of those, even when I was in elementary school. Didn't know the name of it because this was many moons ago. But even when especially with one person I still have contact with, and when I see how they are, I say, yeah, this person was like this as a kid. So some people really do have a personality that, I guess you could say, that really, when it comes to challenges, they're hitting it head on. But for the rest of us, we usually run away from it, try to avoid it, try to get it out of the way, because it really doesn't feel good on the nervous system. And I can use myself, because I can definitely remember, I didn't know what it was, but I can remember in the fourth grade and maybe the sixth grade, and maybe even the ninth grade. But I just can say, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I can just remember what I call now sensations through my body. I just say something uncomfortable. And it's kind of like, I made my mind up. I don't want to feel that way. So I'm looking for happiness. You know what I'm saying? If nothing wasn't attached to happiness or making me feel good, I want nothing to do with it. That is good. However, when you're not able to work through the uncomfortableness of things, you're going to really avoid and have a hard time when life pours the uncomfortableness, the unpleasantries in it. And it's going to happen whether it's at work, in your personal life, with family, it will happen. And so, for any of you who have been following me for a while, you would know that, we're about wellness here. We're about what can you do. It's not just really about feeling good per se, because, even when it comes to happiness, it's fluid, meaning you're not going to be happy at every single moment. And I've always been a person, like, I've always like, oh yeah, I like feeling content. And even though I didn't understand it then, and that's another podcast or Self Care You Nugget. So when it comes to you creating the challenges, and especially physical challenges, this thing is going to help you in your life, because if we're not able to deal with ourselves emotionally and especially physically, meaning whether you call it an endurance or doing something that makes us tired, when we just don't feel like doing something, don't get me wrong, know when to rest, but also know when to move on, because a lot of times we just call it quits. We just call it quits. And when you think about athletes, it's like how much they train just for a single day. I can remember when I was in high school and I ran track, and my junior year was the best year. That was the year, all the other years were okay. Senior year was so so. And I talked about that in a previous podcast. And but pretty much that year was the best year because I put in the practice. I was able to go to training. No, I'm saying training. Yeah, go to training, and definitely with who the coach paired me with, a dynamic person. She was a really good worker. I'm a really good runner, and she definitely challenged me because I was like, okay, I got to keep up with this lady. We ran different events, but she was really good at what she did. And it really helped. And we did share the 440 relay. And so, like, all right, yeah, we got this. I was third leg. But in saying that, even at that time, it made me realize it was like how important, whether you call it rehearsal, practicing, putting in the work is. And when we really think about life of anything that we want, and even like when it comes to your business, in that, what is it that you're doing so that you can keep up the momentum? Because there are going to be challenges. And however you want to look at it, whether it's a customer relation, whether it's a business to business, even when it comes to your family, like how much time that you're putting in that you're not able to spend time with your family, and how can you, of course, the word is not balance, but how can you integrate that where you can't say everybody's going to be happy, because there's going to be times where you need to focus on this piece, on this task to complete, because it may take you several days to complete, let's just say, a project or a task. So it may take several steps in order to do that. And so, in saying all of that, is saying create challenges in your life, because it is going to help you with your creativity. It will help you in your decision making. It will help you in discernment. It also helps you to remove your emotions when you're making decisions, because it's not just business, it is just in life. Because I've come to a realization, oh man, in one sense, we kind of feel like when someone says something in a certain way, it's like, oh, do they have to be so blunt about it? Um, but yes, sometimes you do. It's like we're the one who need to, like, for those of us who are sensitive like me, we're the one. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it can be both, but we're the one who need to pretty much kind of toughen up that muscle of just, it's like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to, or I'm not able to do that because you're busy doing this thing for yourself that's going to benefit other people anyway, and probably benefit the person who is asking you to do something. So it doesn't mean, like to say no all the time when it comes to this, but to really push yourself. And like, as you can see that I am in my athletic, I can say bra here. I was outside doing some yard work, something that I usually don't do. But I'm glad the opportunity came up, and which allowed me to do this, because it is pushing me in a way I've never been pushed before. And it allows me to have some self-reflection, and then that push It kind of reminds me of the leg press when it came to when I had personal training one time. They're like, oh, what is this? And so go ahead and create challenges in your life. It can be where you're having a conversation with a total stranger. Yeah, it can be telling people about your business. It can be making 100 calls a day. I know I have been challenged with that in the past, and for whatever reason, it's like I do it for 1 or 2 days and never get to 100. It's like I can send 100 emails, but when it comes to making 100 calls, you know, so many different things come through my mind. So I'm like, okay, challenge, focus, do it. And whatever it may be, whatever it is that you're challenged. But one of the reasons that I want you to challenge your body in some way, not to hurt it, but to definitely challenge it, because it goes through something. Your mind, your body, and your spirit goes through something. And when it does, it's going to help your pocketbook too, because you're going to be a little sharper when it comes to, how you think. It allows you to be able to push through emotional things. That's the piece that people don't realize when it comes to physical tasks, and especially physical tasks that you can put on yourself. You may have heard me say it one time before, whether I said it here or whether I said it in a Self Care You Nuggets or conscious sharing moments or conscious sharing moments, in that yoga and strength training is really, I know people don't like to use that word easy, but it really is. It is an easy way to develop resilience and to work against adversity. It really, really is. And I'm saying easy, it's gentle. It's the most gentle way. It may not feel like it at the time, but it's the most gentle way that you can do it. Allow yourself to go into rooms and situations. I mean, this is where we're talking about challenges. It's not just the physical, but the physical challenges are really going to help you. I know last week or two, was about 2 weeks ago, I did a challenge and I got to start back over because my goal, let me say this first. My challenge is to do 1,000, yes, 1,000 squats. That's my goal. Now, I will say I've done 1,000 squats over a period of days where I've done 100 squats a day. And let me tell you about that experience. When I first started, I was like, oh, I can only do maybe about 25. And then I got up to 50 at one time. And I think one time, and it was one day I almost missed it and I had to do it like really late at night. And so I did that. And I know me, know yourself, again, self-awareness, and move and action, move different, make the adjustments. In that, when it comes to those things, it's best for me to go ahead and do it in the morning, because you tell yourself, oh, I do it later. Now I can do it later during the day, but once nighttime hit, that relaxed bone gets in, or should I say that relaxed muscle activates, and Sharon don't feel like doing anything. So what about you? So how can you maneuver your day so that things that are challenging for you, see, again, create challenge, enjoying that. Now, the other piece of that is for me to, or for you to challenge yourself to do something later in the day. But what I discovered in doing that, again, I was like, let me go ahead and do, the 100 and get it over with. And what I discovered, it was easier to do the 100 right there. It didn't take that much extra time, in doing 100 squats in one setting than it did when I split them up. Pretty much I was doing like 25, and then pretty much, and I ended up doing like 50-50. Then I ended up getting to 100. And so, again, it's kind of like pushing your way through. And my goal is to work up to 1,000. And I've heard different people say different things, but one thing that I can say, yes, it will be. Now, I'm not going to even claim that. It is a welcome challenge because I'm looking for the transformation. That's the main reason that I'm doing it, because you go through something. You go through something. And sometimes I want to say this too, for those of us who come from, the Afro cultural, the Afro there's another word I'm looking for, I can't think, but if you're African American, you're black, I think about the Middle Passage, and I'm like, we think life is hard now. Life is really not hard now. People may beg the difference, people may say something, but when I think about for my ancestors who were enslaved, and especially for those who were in the Middle Passage, who came in through those boats, what they had to go through, how did they survive? And here I am crying about, somebody hurting my feelings or something, I mean, that's probably the most thing I ever gone through in my life. And it was so hard on my nervous system. Who am I to complain? And then if I needed to do 1,000, it's like, will you be able to do it to save somebody's life? And so I started thinking on this thing, and it's kind of like, oh no, so this is nothing. And so whatever it is that helped them to have the spirit to be able to comply, and of course we know there are those who like, hey, we call them radical, but they were ones like, hey, we're not following up in the system. And so because it takes a lot of energy too to comply as well, and because people's lives were at stake, and so insane, all of that is to say, how are you going to challenge yourself? Because when you challenge yourself, you're going to have a better life. When you challenge yourself, you're going to have a better life within yourself, for yourself, and through yourself, of all the different things. Is it going to stop adversity? No. Is it going to stop things from happening or coming in your space? No. But what it will stop is how you see it, how you approach it. Sometimes you may fall down, but you're going to get back up. That's what it's all about. So create challenges it's kind of almost like create challenges in your life before life create challenges for you, because we don't want the challenges that life has. Oh Lord. We definitely don't want to, because I know I was like, I didn't sign up for this. But one thing I can say is thank God those things are in the past. I was able to come out of it and repair myself. Yes, yes, yes. And I must say, with divine intervention as well, we never know what that is going to look like when it comes to people, places, and things. And so, and the other thing is creating a challenge can be accepting divine intervention, because sometimes we want to reject that because we may think it may look a certain way or thing like that. And so part of that is this accepting, be a recipient of receiving, whatever you want to call it, help, in receiving the thing that you need, probably even in receiving what you've been, for those of you who pray, receiving what you've been praying for as well. And so do the things that you need to do in order to get over to the other side of success. And that's in success for yourself, and not just in the money, but including the money. We want to include that as well, because that is important of how you're going to be able to move in the world as well. So remember, when we say create the challenges, it may feel like it's hard, and it may be hard. I'm not even taking that away. But one thing that I will say, it will help you develop some characteristics that you probably needed anyway, because I know that's what it's done to me. It allows you, and not just in being able to have characteristics or being able to have words, but also to be able to move, to be able to take action, because that's where it's count. Because again, you can speak up for yourself, but are you able to move with those words? Because it's not enough to let somebody know how you feel. Are you able to remove yourself or remove that person out of your life if that's something that's needed? Sometimes it's needed, sometimes it's not. Are you able to, go across the street because you need to say, hey, can I get some help over here? Hey, um, what service? How can I be of service to you? Let's just say, just kind of think about it. If your life depended on it, or your loved one life depended on it, what would you be motivated to do? And so sometimes I think that we may get comfortable, because that's another reason why we need to challenge ourselves, because we just need to move different so that you can have the abundance in life that you want. Because when it comes, because again, creating challenges is a self-care move, whether you believe it or not. So this is what self-care is all about. I am here to revolutionize self-care in a way that you have never seen or thought about it before. It is the chocolate cake, it is the manicure and the pedicure and the massages, and it is and it is and it is doing yoga. It is the meditation. It is the I'm saying personal training, if that is something, but the strength training. It is running or walking 10 miles. It is participating in a mud run. It is going into an environment so you're like, whoo, this is not me. Reading books that you would never want to read. It's like, oh, this is so boring. But not just in reading a book, but also doing, even if it's just one thing out of the book that is going to help you achieve the things that you need, that you want to achieve, whether it's in business, whether it's in your life. And remember, when it comes to your business, when it comes to, again, when we're talking about working, when it comes to your job, you can't separate yourself. You cannot compartmentalize yourself, because you're bringing yourself, everything that comes with it, everything that you are with it. Now the thing is it the time and place, to say, do. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, because sometimes what's happening at home can interfere what's happening at your job, what's happening at work, what's happening within your business, and how can you, again, create the challenges in your life to help you move through it. That's where it counts. It doesn't mean that you're not thinking about it or anything like that. And so, in creating challenges, one of the things that I am inviting all of you who are listening to my new Facebook group, Self Care Entrepreneurs, Self Carepreneurs, which is self care entrepreneurs, those individuals who are serious about making life better for your health and your wealth, because they go hand in hand. And so, how you can integrate self care in your life to be successful, nurturing your way to success, because there's no need of going after the money and you end up getting sick because you hadn't been taking care of yourself. So, this is what this is all about. We have different workshops. Of course, you're already part of Self Care U podcast, Self Care U Nuggets. And then there'll be some conferences coming up as well. But definitely look for the look for workshops. And then also, as a reminder, we have the Rest, Rejuvenate, and Recover ebook. Is self-care practices that you can integrate in your life throughout the day, because it is so important for you to be able to do that. for you to be able to, again, take care of yourself at any moment in time. Because sometimes you may need a 2-minute breather. You may need to stretch. You may need to dance. You may need to breathe. You may need to focus, focus, focus. You may need to energize yourself. You may need to settle your body. This allows you to do these things. And there's also not only the ebook, but also a course where you can get a recording of all of these different things that you can do so that throughout the day, whether it's in your personal life or with work, where you can integrate these self care practices so you can be well and healthy in every way because you are a self care giver and you are a self care entrepreneur. And again, this is for individuals who, have a business, again, whether it's solo or you have a company with employees. And definitely for those individuals, if you, like teach meditation and yoga, if you teach a workshop, or if you have, different type of sessions, if you teach a course, because you are entrepreneur, we must start thinking with the entrepreneur, with the business mindset, because it's not just about teaching a course, because there's so much other things we have to learn along the way. And so as we learning those things along the way, all of that comes into just self-awareness. It comes into personal development. That's where it's at. That's what self-care you is all about. It's about you developing yourself so you can be the best version of yourself. And so I appreciate you listening to this episode of Self Care You podcast.